Hello everyone, now that I've got this whole axle assembly removed from the truck, I'm ready to start tearing it apart and replacing parts on it, so that's what we're going to be doing in this episode. Alright, I'm going to start on this by taking off this wheel hub so that we can remove this whole thing. I've got a 7/64 Allen to remove these little screws. Now there is a little ring in here that we need to remove, and I'm going to use a pick. It's easiest to find one end of the locking ring and get the pick on that. There we go. So once you get under, it's pretty easy. Now I'm going to remove this with these snap ring pliers. Now I'm going to thread in a couple of these bolts back so that we can remove this part. There we go. Now we are going to use the hub bolt remover socket to remove these two nuts with the spacer in between. There's one. Now we gotta fish out that little spacer thing. There's that. All right, so now this whole assembly and the rotor should come off of the axle. You're gonna want to be careful because those bearings are loose in there, to not tilt this so that the bearings fall out like that. So we're gonna store this with the hub facing up until we're ready to reinstall it. Now we're going to remove this so that we can remove the axle. I've got a 9/16 for this. All right, it's been a couple days since the last clip. I soaked this with some PB Blaster and it's broken loose. I got a bigger dead blow hammer, and so I've hit it and it's broken loose, so it'll come out now. So now we have more room in here to deal with this lower ball joint and to get that nut off. This top one is going to be a 33 millimeter, or I believe in standard it would be 1 5/16 inches. And I think I saw in the book that you need to mark with this caster camber washer thing where it is when you remove this ball joint, so that you can reinstall it in the same spot. So I was gonna paint everything, so I don't know if I'll just take a chisel and kind of put a little dent in to each piece, but we'll figure out some way. Now we're ready to remove these ball joint nuts. So we'll start with this top one and the cotter pin, getting this removed. I've got a 1 1/8 inch socket on the lower ball joint nut. All right, I've finally broken the bottom one loose. I had to get my big breaker bar on it, and I had to heat it up for a while with that yellow MAP gas. Probably about 20 minutes of heating up that bolt just to break it loose. But so I'm going to remove that, and then we're going to get the knuckle off of here. All right, so we've got this knuckle removed, so now we can get these ball joints out of here. This bottom one has got a snap ring in it. So now we're ready to press these out. I'm going to remove this little greaser with a 5/16 socket. Yeah, this is how I've got it set up. So as you can see, I've gone through the bottom, where the bottom ball joint was. I loosened this clamp here, and then I was able to pull this axle out of here. Now these are both separated, and now I'm going to start working on this, getting this side apart, and then we're going to get these pivot bushings removed. Next, I'm going to be removing these axle pivot bushings, and as you can see on this side, it looks like it's kind of flared out. So I'm going to use a hammer and chisel to kind of get that pushed back in, and then hopefully we can press this out. And then we'll do that one next. I've got a 1¼ inch socket that hopefully will work to press this out. All right. So a 1¼ inch socket is the magic trick to getting these old bushings pressed out. Let's see if we can do that other one without even chiseling. Nope, we definitely gotta hammer that flare out a little bit. Now I'm going to start removing these U-joints. They have little clips on the inside here, so we're going to have to remove those. Hopefully we can get a chisel in there and get those out. Okay, so I got this cap removed. I have removed the retaining clip on the other side, and I went ahead and bought this tool because I was having problems getting just using a hammer with these. So these one's easier on this yoke. so we got that one done. So we've just got 2 more to do. So this one might be the most difficult one because it's still attached to the differential and the axle housing and everything. I think it's retained internally in here instead of just being able to slip in and out like the other side did. So we've got to remove these clips from the inside of here, and then hopefully with this new tool, I would not recommend doing it this way if you're gonna try to hammer it out, because you might damage the differential. But with this new tool, I think we'll be able to do this. But we just gotta be able to get those clips out first. So I pushed out the wrong end and it just pushed the clip out with it. So this tool, if you can't get the clip out, this will just push it out. I didn't mean to do that, but just one more left to go. So now we just need to start putting stuff back together. I'm ready to install these new pivot bushings onto these axle housing arms. Here is the part number for the bushings that I bought. And to install them like they were the ones that we removed, they're going to be pushed in from this side on both of them. You can see this is the open side, and then we are installing them from the closed side. So we've got both those pushed through. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this part of the axle shaft back on before I put the axle housings back on the pivot arms. We're gonna want to be very careful with this when we take these caps off, not to lose the needle bearings inside. Start with one. You want to make sure it's fully seated in that cap so that we know that none of those needle bearings have fallen over or anything. So now we need to push that cap all the way through. Through enough. So now we're gonna put the other cap on. And we want to hold this so that's in both caps so we don't lose those needle bearings. So this one up here is pushed all the way through. We can see that groove that the clip's supposed to fit in. So now we need to push this one the rest of the way through. And I think we got that one all the way through. So now we're gonna put those clips in. And here is the part number for the U-joints that I bought, 371, and there's 3 of them. All right, we can just push that in with our finger and then just use a tool to push it in the rest of the way. Now the other side. All right, so we got that in. So now we need to get it hooked up to the yoke that is still hooked up to our differential. All right.